Hi guys, what's up? We are back, Pugsley and I. I've had a busy couple of weeks helping Bianca get ready for her wedding and a few other things came up, so I've just been extremely busy and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do videos like just in this time frame, preparing for the wedding and everything and Halloween. But today I got a spare minute and I'm feeling very inspired by two wonderful friends of mine. So I decided that I would make a quick, at least scary story video for you guys. Pugsley's back, I'm back, and the costume for today, I actually wasn't going to go as far as to do a costume, but I got poking around in all my costume things and I found my pink wig. It kind of looks ginger in this light, but it is actually pink. So I decided for today's costume, I was going to give a shout out to all my ladies that I love from YouTube who absolutely rock the pink hair. So this one is for the beautiful Alicia from Hunting the Dead, for Loie Lane, and for Krista. You girls all rock. I love you all so much. And you guys rock the pink hair. So this costume is kind of just like a little tribute to all of you because you are all amazing. So a little update as well. While I've been off and helping Bianca, just getting caught up on a few things. I have a lot coming after Bianca's wedding is over. I have some pretty amazing paranormal investigation locations that I'm going to be going to. I have a few other things up my sleeve that I can't talk about just yet, but it's going to be really exciting. It's going to be terrific for our summer season, which I know for all of you in the Northern Hemisphere it is becoming cold. So hopefully I can send a little bit of Australian sunshine to you and warm you guys up throughout the winter. So there is a lot coming up and that will all be made clear in the next few weeks. I'm very excited. And yeah, I have a few secrets up my sleeve and I'm not going to talk about them because I want it to be a surprise, but you guys are going to love it and it's going to be great. So for today, we have some more scary Halloween Horror Night stories. And today's video is greatly inspired by two of my best friends in the entire world. They are my best friends, they are family to me, and they live in Indiana in the United States. And that is Delia and Justin. Guys, thank you so much for the video call yesterday. It was just what I needed. It was so lovely to see you both and talk to you both about everything that's been going on over there and, you know, all the amazing haunted locations that there are in Indiana in the USA. So their part of Indiana that they're from is Peru, and it's not far from an area called the Okie Pinokie. And they were both having a giggle at me because I got it mixed up with the Okie Pinokie, which I'm also going to do a video about. But because Delia and Justin were so generous to tell me about this amazing haunted area. It's the most haunted area in Indiana in the United States, the Okie Pinokie, that I thought I would dedicate this video to my beautiful friends Delia and Justin. These guys are like family to me. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for the inspiration and the stories. And so I guess without further ado, we'll get into the stories. Just remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a nice comment in the comment section below. Share it with your friends. And when I get into the stories, I'm going to go to like rain and crackling fire effects if you are using these stories to relax or sleep to. There's also going to be AI photos that I make up on an art app to go with some of the stories. I'll grab some photos from Okie Pinokie as well because I think that would be really appropriate. But it's going to be made for relaxation or sleeping, or if you're like me and you like to crochet or do a little painting, or you know, you just want to sit back and just listen to some stories. This is what this video is for as well. I don't know about y'all, but I really find just listening to scary stories if I'm working on something or if I'm trying to go to sleep very relaxing. I don't know if that makes me a goon or a psychopath or something, but it works. I think it's really just the timbre of the voices that produce the stories. So for today's Halloween Horror Nights, we have Legends of the Okie Pinokie in Indiana, the USA. So either get comfy, grab a blanket. Oh, what is my hair doing? It's poor wig. It hasn't been used for a while. Oh, it won't sit down. Okay, that's better. So, grab a drink, a snack, a blanket, a cup of pumpkin spice something, if you like that kind of thing. And let's get into these 5 scary stories from the Okie Pinokie. Story number 1. The Legend of Okie Pinokie by MuffGoblin92 from Reddit. Peru, Indiana. The Okie Pinokie. Legend has it that this area of woods was also an Indian burial ground. Also, supposedly a little girl was taken out to this area, tortured and made unalive. Her name was Stephanie. They say if you call her name or begin insulting her, you'll hear her screaming and eventually she'll follow you into the woods. They say there's a significant tree that she was tied to, and you can still see the imprints of the rope that held her there. And there's also a haunted cabin somewhere out there in the woods. I have only gone at night and have yet to find the tree or the cabin. I found what looks like the foundation to an old home or shed of some sort. And Missing Sewana staff found 8 decaying bodies out there also. Camping and hunting is forbidden. You drive down this trail and the further you go, the more it seems the trees close in on you to the point you can't even see the sky. It's always colder here than the surrounding area. Once you get to the end, you get to what is called the Devil's Circle, which is a circle where nothing grows and you park. There are multiple trails all around the circle that lead into the woods. It's very confusing and it's easy to get lost. I've been lost twice and have found my way back to the main road, which is SR 124. The circle sits right next to a creek or stream. I've never seen it, but you can hear it. For some reason, the dirt road that leads to the Devil's Circle has more paranormal activity than the woods themselves. The people sometimes go out there and use Ouija boards. I remember as I was leaving, I found the lid of a box to a Ouija board on the dirt road. Sometimes, as you're leaving, you see what looks like people running in the open fields out of the corner of your eye. I've had my fair share of paranormal experiences, but nothing so intense to where I don't go back. Story number 2, from reviews written on the Haunted Indiana website. The author remains anonymous. I've only told this to a handful of people, but I feel the need to share after finding this page. Years ago in 2007, 4 of my friends and I all decided to go here at midnight during the summer to the Okie Pinokie. None of us believed in ghosts or the paranormal. We just were bored high school, college students looking for adventure. When we arrived, we were laughing and enjoying ourselves. We proceeded to get out an Ouija board, one my mother owned from the 1960s. It wasn't working. None of us really believed in it anyways. After half an hour, it began to move lightly, almost as if a magnet was pulling from underneath the board. I've played many times and had friends play jokes, but this was a different feeling. The air felt colder. Something was changing in the area. As we played, we supposedly communicated with a young girl. She said herself and her father were killed here. After 20 minutes, we then asked for a photo with her. Jokingly, we left a spot open for her on a log. My digital camera buzzed and flickered on the display, an issue I've never had before. After looking at the photo in that very location, there was a very large orb. Still feeling skeptical that my friends were all messing with me, I shook it off as dust. We continued communication until she suddenly moved to G and O frantically. We didn't understand what had changed. Then silence. No movements. No sound. Nothing. I looked at my cell phone to see a dimly lit time of 3 a.m. My friend whispered immediately, "The witching hour." In a moment we heard cries from the woods. I thought it was a wounded animal, maybe a mating call of sorts. It grew louder and louder until it felt like a scream was surrounding the gravel circle road. We sprinted to my car and got in. It wouldn't start. Nothing was working. Maybe it was my fear and anxiety causing me not to think clearly. I finally got it started and we began to drive away. We all nervously laughed as we started leaving the woods. My friend took my camera out and made a comment on how the display wasn't turning on. After a moment, she took a photo. On the main road, I still felt uneasy. I was extremely angry. I remember wanting to yell at my friends. I told them I had to pull over. At the local CVS, I got out of the car, then black. I woke up in the back seat with my friend crying next to me and praying. She said I was yelling profanities and speaking to myself, pacing in circles. To this day, I have no idea what this was. A panic attack? A fit of rage? Possession? Who knows? All I know is I've never experienced anything like that prior, nor in the past 15 years since that night. The next day I looked at the photos and I did notice something odd. The one photo my friend took of us in the car had an orb trail. It appeared to be entering the car into the back seat. I know this all sounds like a bad teen horror story, but nothing I've shared is made up. I honestly don't care if someone believes me or not. My friends know what we saw and experienced. It's either the best or cruelest prank ever played, or we dealt with something supernatural. I'll never go back, and I've never played the Ouija board again. Story 3, Okie Pinokie Indian Burial Ground, from Reddit, author unknown. On the farm-riddled outskirts of a small town called Peru, Indiana in Miami County, lies a state forest called the Francis Slocum State Forest. Before I begin, let me give you a layout of this place so you have a better idea of how eerie it is. Sadly, I have been unable to take any photos yet. Too scared, maybe. It's also been too dark every time I've ventured out there for my mediocre iPhone 8. Tomato. This place is a massive forest, located smack dab in the middle of miles and miles of cornfields, as well as some abandoned homes scattered here and there. It's about a mile-long drive through the forest, and the trees begin winding into one another the further in you go. There's really no real marker to let you know if you're even in the right place or not, until you're pretty deep into the trees. There are 2 concrete stone markers that I use as my go-to object, so I remember where to turn. Eventually, you can no longer see the sky due to the intertwining branches once you get closer to the car park, aka the Devil's Circle. The Devil's Circle is located in the center of the forest and earned its name because it's a large circle where nothing grows. Once you reach the circle, trails branch out in every direction imaginable. This is where most people park their cars, as it is easy to make a quick getaway if you need to. However, I've seen plenty of people park right on the side of the trail as well. This is the backstory I've gathered based on my own research. This place used to be happily inhabited by the Miami Indian tribe for many years, and many were buried beneath the land. Eventually, they were forced to leave their home of many years. I can't remember when, but the bodies were removed so that the Mississauga Reservoir could be constructed. Naturally, this angered the spirits of those buried beneath the land. Flash forward to 2018, and there was a small party being thrown in the woods. A drug deal goes bad, and a group of 2 boys and 1 girl, unalive, a 20 to 21-year-old man named Drake, and left his body to be found later on. The above 2 statements I know to be fact. It is also rumoured by the reservoir staff that around 8 bodies have been found on the land over the years. I've explored the forest twice now, but gone a total of probably 5 times. I was too scared to get out of the car the other 3 times, because honestly it's terrifying in that pitch black forest, even with flashlights. The only sounds you can hear are the bugs and the water. There are so many trees that it seemed as though I was constantly seeing shadows out of the corner of my eyes. I also got many strange feelings, such as being followed and that our presence was unwanted. It is said that if you whistle, something is supposed to whistle back. I tried but got no response. However, the last time I went, another group of people were there ghost hunting as well. They had an EVP box and told us that it was going off like crazy. It told them as soon as our 2 groups began hollering back and forth in the woods, before we knew about one another that is, that there was an enemy in concentrate. Among other things, they did not disclose. Other people from various websites, and I have scoured the web hard on this one, said they had some pretty weird experiences as well. Some state that a black figure has followed their car, chased them out of the woods. Others say that they've heard voices and sticks cracking, as if someone were walking up behind them. Another person said that while they were in the forest, they saw different coloured orbs started flying around the entire forest. They said that some felt as though they projected a good energy. Some even felt friendly, shy, eerie, negative, and mean, etc. Personally, I haven't stayed in the forest long enough to have experienced anything here to prove concrete proof for myself, but I am definitely a believer, and the backstory to this place is just incredible. I will definitely be purchasing some equipment and making some more trips back out there. Story number 4. My first experience in the Okie Pinokie by Muff Goblin 92 from Reddit. It was a clear night and the moon was shining bright. It's about 11:30 at night and we decide to head out to Okie Pinokie for our first time. It's me and a couple of friends. Okie Pinokie is about 10 minutes outside of Peru, Indiana on Old SR 124. As we arrive and I start to pull in, my car dies. And this won't be the only time. Immediately we all start freaking out. One of the girls we were with gets really scared and starts saying we should go back. No way. I didn't drive all this way out here for nothing. So we start down the old dirt road. It's very narrow and the closer we get to the Devil's Circle, the more the trees close in on us and the darker it gets. I don't know if it's just the environment, but I could see things moving out of the corner of my eyes in the woods. We roll down the windows to try and hear anything, but it's so quiet. Eerily quiet. We finally get to the circle and no one wants to get out. Finally we do, and we all have flashlights for the trail. So we start going on the main trail. We weren't very far in and I can already sense something is watching us. Then we stop. Someone heard a sound. We wait and listen, and we hear what sounds like someone walking. but it's all around us. Then we hear the scream of a girl or a woman. When we pulled into the circle, there were no other cars and there's nowhere else to park. So we knew it was just us. Plus, the closest house is probably about 5 miles away. So we knew it couldn't be somebody messing with us. Finally, we continue walking farther into the woods. I lose my shoe in some really thick, deep mud. And I'm so pissed, so now most of the time my eyes are on the ground, making sure it doesn't happen again. We hear the occasional footsteps and stop and look around, and there's nothing there. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I see someone to the right of me. I know I did because I was behind the group, and I asked which one circled around me. My friend says, "We're all right here." And I look up and see them. So I keep walking and trying to catch up. As I look up from the ground, I swear someone was standing in front of me. So much so that I literally took a step back and said, "Watch out." But there was no one there. One of my friends goes, "What?" as they're about a good 20 yards in front of me. At that instant, I said it was time to go, and we left. We were only there for about half an hour, but the next time we went, there would be a lot more activity than I expected. So here we are about a month later. I continue telling my friend about the experiences I had. He tells me that he didn't hear or see much, but that he could feel a presence. So we decided to go back. It's about midnight around the middle of June, and it's so damn hot out. It rained the day before, and it was so humid out. So this time he's driving, and it's just me and him. This time he brings his camera. He had just bought it new, and it was a brand new camera with night vision, and I was excited to catch some things. We pulled onto the dirt road, and immediately I feel the cold. We actually roll up the windows because it's so cold. Finally, we get to the circle, and there's another car there. We didn't want to go in with other people in there, and just as we're about to leave, we see flashlights through the trees. So we get out to greet the group and ask, "Did anything happen?" Their response was, "No, nothing. We've been here like an hour or so." Either way, we continued on into the woods. Flashlights on, camera on, and we're ready for an interesting night. We walk deeper and deeper into the woods. This time we take a different trail, and to this day, I regret that. We're walking for what seemed forever. I was muddy, cold, hungry, and tired. We were pretty deep into the woods when all of a sudden I come across a foundation of what looked like a small building of some sort. It looked so eerie in the dark. I say, "Hey dude, come look at this. You think this is that old haunted cabin that people talk about?" He said he didn't think so, when all of a sudden we hear a distinct "hello" echo in the distance. My first reaction was that somebody else had showed up, but there was no way they could have caught up to us this quickly. All the obstacles we had to go through to get here and how deep we were, there was no way. "Did you hear that?" He just shakes his head yes and turns on the camera. I yell, "Hello?" And no answer. "Do you see anything?" Nope. We ignore it. And I continue checking out the foundation, trying to discover any kind of evidence that told me what this building used to be. Next thing you know, my friend says, "Shine your light over there. I think I heard something." I shine the light in the direction he was telling me to, and we sat and listened. And once again, we hear what sounds like footsteps, and once again, it sounds like it's all around us. It's everywhere. I know. It's time to go. We start heading the way we came in, or at least the way we thought we came in. Somehow we get turned around and end right back at the foundation of the building. I'm starting to freak out, saying, "We're lost and stuck out here until daylight." So we go back down the trail and make a left instead of a right. Finally, we start seeing trees and stumps that looked somewhat familiar. As we're walking down the trail, someone was stepping on the back of my shoes. "Dude, stop messing around. Let's just get back to the car." "What?" I hear about 10 yards behind me. "You're stepping on my shoes, man. Stop." "What? Dude, I'm nowhere near you." I'm not laughing now, and it's really time to go. Finally, I start seeing the moonlight creeping in through the trees, and I can see the opening to the circle. We get about 15 yards from the entrance, and I stop. "Dude, someone is laying against that tree." "Where?" "Right there, by that tree. Looks like someone wearing white." "I don't see anything." "Now quit being a douche and let's go." To this day, I know I saw a girl or a woman wearing a white nightgown or dress. I know I did. We finally get back to town, stop for a bite to eat and review the footage. I couldn't believe what had happened. "There's nothing on here." "What?" "It's all blacked out." "Did you leave the lens cap on?" "No, I left it in the car." "Was the night vision turned on?" "I'm not effing stupid, of course it was. We tested it before we entered the woods, it worked fine." But you couldn't see anything, and all you could hear was us talking, and nothing else. Story number 5, the Okie Pinokie murder case. An Indiana man was handed the maximum sentence for the 2018 murder of a man he beat to death in the woods. Ethan Kane, 24, was one of 3 people charged in connection to the death of Drake Smith, 22, according to the Kokomo Tribune. A judge sentenced him to 55 years on February 1 this year. As part of a plea deal dismissing his previous charges of robbery resulting in serious bodily injury, theft and obstruction of justice. We were all given life sentences that day, prosecuting attorney Jeffrey Sinkovics read on behalf of the victim's mother. It's an emptiness that will never go away. On the morning of May 19, 2018, mushroom hunters came upon Smith's body in the wooded area on the Okie Pinokie Trail in the Francis Slocum State Forest, according to Indiana State Police. 4 days later, authorities secured arrest warrants for Ethan Kane and another man, Joshua Keene, aged 27. A SWAT team with the Imperial County Sheriff's Office located Kane and Keene at a California campsite near the Mexican border, according to the Tribune. Keene evaded capture but was apprehended 3 days later. According to court documents cited by the Tribune, the 2 men allegedly entered into a plot with Brittany Morris, 17, who police say wanted to rob Smith because she believed he'd have illegal drugs in his possession. On the night of the murder, the victim, Smith, arrived at the Marion Walmart parking lot at around 11:30 p.m, as captured on CCTV footage. Around 30 minutes later, a second car entered the parking lot. Police say that Morris exited that vehicle and joined Smith in his truck. Approximately 8 minutes later, Kane and Keene exited the second vehicle and went into Walmart to purchase a cheesecake, according to the Tribune. Smith then drove out of the parking lot with Morris still in his vehicle and headed in the direction of the Okie Pinokie woods. Kane and Keene were not far behind. According to witnesses at Okie Pinokie, Morris and Smith joined a group of other people for a party in the woods, but Kane and Keene only arrived as the party was winding down, to only a few people left. One witness was left when they told police they saw Kane try and choke Smith from behind. Kane then took a metal pipe and beat Smith to death as he pleaded for his life. As the beating took place, Morris and Keene allegedly robbed Smith's truck, stealing his clothes, cash, drugs, beer, and a small speaker. Morris was arrested while serving time at a juvenile detention centre for an unrelated probation violation. According to the Kokomo Tribune, she and Keene were later charged with the same crimes as Kane, with Keegan getting an additional charge for assisting a criminal. Morris will be tried as an adult. At Kane's sentencing on Tuesday, Miami County Probation Officer Kathy Knight, who produced Kane's pre-sentence investigation, detailed the brutality of Smith's murder, citing how the witness referred to it as a horror show. The witness allegedly described the sounds of the pipe hitting Smith's head as crunching gravel. Knight described Smith's injuries, which included trauma to the eye sockets, jawbone, neck, and a brain hemorrhage, as part of his report. "I am sorry for my actions," Kane said as he addressed Smith's family in court. "Nothing I can ever say will ever be enough. I would like to deliver Drake back into your lives." And that brings us to our 5 scary stories from the Okie Pinokie in Indiana, USA. There is, however, one more quick story that I want to just tack on the end of this. Pugsley loved it, I loved it, and it came from our dear Justin Barnard himself. And Justin lived not too far away from the Okie Pinokie as he was growing up, and he happened to live in a haunted house. And he was telling me that there were shadow people there, that there was scary stuff happening a lot. And they actually had a psychic lady come in to see what was going on in the house. And the lady actually ended up becoming possessed. She passed out. She was like ranting and telling people if they didn't leave the house, they were all going to die. Just really out of character for this friend of Justin's father who came over to see if she could figure out what was going on in the house. Eventually they got her outside and she fell really hard to the floor and she actually knocked herself out. And then when they got her outside, she could not remember a thing that happened. She's like, "Oh, what am I doing here?" And she never came back to the house. So it's an extremely haunted part of Indiana. And thank you so much to Justin for sharing your story. There was more to it and I should have written it down, but brain fog. And I've forgotten some of what he told me, but I remember what he told me about their friend that came over to try and see what was going on in the house. And there was definitely an evil entity there. He was saying there was another time that all the kitchen cabinets came open and things were tossed out of them. Just very, very scary, spooky stuff. So that's going to do it for today's story. I hope you guys enjoyed them. And I will be back in a couple of days, hopefully for some legends from the Okie Pinokie that runs from Georgia through to Florida. Another very, very haunted area with some amazing historical legends and some weird stuff that people have recounted that have happened there. So thank you all so much for joining in with Pugsley and I again for listening to these scary stories. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you've not done so already, because it helps me out a ton in the YouTube algorithm, and dropping a nice kind comment here or there also helps me out a ton. I will be back soon with more paranormal investigations, more of your real crime from Australia and beyond. When I come back, we will be branching out to New Zealand and other countries in the Asia Pacific Rim. And by Christmas time, I will be doing stories from all over the world. Unfortunately, we're not running out of material for Australia, but I think it's time to branch out. I've been doing this for about a year now, just sticking to Australian stories for the true crime. So I think it's time that we branched out to other corners of the globe. So if you're listening to this at night time and going to sleep, good night, sweet dreams, sleep tight, and if you're just listening to relax, I hope the rest of your day is extremely beautiful and relaxing and that you're doing something you enjoy. Please stay safe, everybody. Love you all so much from the bottom of my heart, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye for now.